cafe anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I had to take a couple days off because there was this thing called a day off that I took. So here we are.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It's episode something. But I bet it's like starting with 22,000, and everybody I know is walking around and they're having a good time because it's the end of the week and it's almost the weekend and people are happy. It's episode 2284, so there you go. Well, you might be asking,
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Mike, what are we going to cover on today's show? What's the podcast picture? What? Give me the info.
Daily.
Give me the data.
Podcast.
Uh-oh, I want some wildlife. So I think today I will post a picture of a particular being that's been in my... So I was so excited the other day. I'm a big fan of this YouTube channel. And I guess the future, if I want to exist and survive in the future land, in the world of the future, I will have to have this podcast be a video cast and have a camera. Because apparently you need to... Now, I would never ever do that because that's boring, me and talking in front of a camera to just watch that. To listen might be interesting because maybe you're doing something very, very good right now. Maybe you're driving. Maybe you're dancing. Maybe you're walking. Maybe you're walking a dog. Maybe you're just having a good time listening while you're doing something else, painting your toenails, I don't know. So, I do that, but the video side of it, I don't do. I would have to go, so I'm watching this guy I think he's called the Carpetbagger Man or something, and he goes all over the place to he's been to all the contiguous United States, and he's interesting, and I watched one of his old videos from 5 years ago, and in the background is someone who now has a very popular...
And here's today's podcast picture.
...video channel doing exactly the same thing. And he is Will and his wife Dawn, and they do this thing called A Yankee in the South. And they go all over the place in the South, and they visited LA, and it's fun to watch. They eat all kinds of fattening foods. I've mentioned how I would not want to eat that fattening food because I'd get even more fat and the diabetes and whatnot. So what ends up happening is I'm watching Will and Dawn do a live broadcast yesterday, a live chat on YouTube, and I asked them a question and they answered it. Yes, Basil, this is all... Basil, I'm glad you never saw me in the state I'm in now with this whole thing. Talking to people on YouTube live chats. I know it's embarrassing. Basil barking, the late great Basil the boxer. And the podcast picture today, I think I'm going to do of Rodler, of the cat that has infiltrated our lives. Starting off as a feral cat that would not, it would run for the hills as soon as you even breathe a breath, would run. But now he's friendly and lets us pet him. He's very kind, playful, wonderful cat. So, and Basil would not approve of that, I know that. But the thing is, now the guy answered my question. I asked him how long it takes to edit a video, and he said it takes 2 hours, which boggles my mind because he's got all this feed, all this spool, all of this stuff he has, film, video, whatever, and he's got to chop it all up and upload it to YouTube. He says it takes 2 hours. That's crazy. It takes, this is a short affair because I do this live to the podcast world, live from Cafe Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Mont today, the last place on earth. And I do this live, and I try not to spend too much craziness on it because I know that this is pretty much in ear, one ear out the other. It's consumable. It's thrown over the shoulder. The can, once it's empty, gets smashed against the head and thrown in the trash. So it's consumable material that's easily dispensable. But now I change all that because I'm telling you something interesting. Because what that just showed was a lack of confidence on my part. And I was listening to, I think is it Peter Green, Brian Green? I know there's a Brian Green. Wasn't it Brian Austin Green? The guy from Beverly Hills 90210, and he dated Megan Fox for a while. And then there's, I think, Peter Green. Is he the physicist? I listened to him the other day, and he brought up an interesting point about how, that time and space might all consist of matter. Space might not only be, it's matter, and you move back and forth in space, and space is surrounded by matter, but possibly time consists of particles, just like space does. And I thought that was fascinating. And then he said that there is a self-awareness in all particles. Like when I talk, he said, and I just said a sentence, there was a certain self-awareness in that sentence that came out of my mouth, and I kind of thought I did a good job with it. And then the host said, wow, you have a lot of confidence, which made me think about confidence. The most important thing to know about low self-confidence is that it's not your fault. The factors that contribute to low self-confidence combine and interact differently for each person. Your genes, cultural background, childhood experience, and other life circumstances all play a role. But don't lose heart. Although we can't change the experiences in our past that shape us, there is plenty we can do to alter our thoughts and expectations to get more confidence. Some of what molds our self-confidence is built into our brains at birth. Studies have shown our genetic makeup affects the amount of certain confidence-boosting chemicals our brain can access. Serotonin, a neurotransmitter associated with happiness. And isn't that the thing that you need to make you sleepy, to fall asleep at night? Some people get serotonin pills. And Oxycontin, the cuddle hormone, can, as we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley Mont, can both be inhibited by certain genetic variations. Somewhere between 25 to 50% of the personality traits linked to confidence may be inherited. Some aspects of our behavior can also stem from our temperament. If you're naturally more hesitant and watchful, especially in unfamiliar circumstances, you may have a tendency called behavioral inhibition. When you're confronted with a situation, you stop and check to see if everything seems the way you expected it to be. If something appears awry, you're likely to move away from the situation. Behavioral inhibition is not all bad. We need some people in the world who don't impulsively jump into every situation. If you're a cautious and reserved person, self-confidence may have eluded you. But once you understand yourself and the tools, you will be able to work with your temperament and not fight it. Fascinating. I wonder if I have a bit of that, behavioral inhibition. You stop and check to see if everything seems the way you expect it to be. Is that the same as just being cautious in general? Being careful? I mean, with money, most financial guys I've talked to say if you should really, if you're being pressured into spending money, you probably shouldn't spend the money. If you just jump into it impulsively and spend the money, you probably are going to just waste it. You're going to spend it on something stupid. What do you call it? Point of purchase items in the supermarket. Ooh, look at that. Corn's on sale for $5. And you buy 15 shucks of corn that you don't even eat. It turns bad and gross. Life experiences, a number of individual experiences can lead to feeling completely unsure of yourself or even worthless. There's trauma that's affected you, like emotional abuse, physical or worse, can all significantly affect our feelings of self-worth. Parenting style, the way we were treated in our family of origin, can affect us long after childhood. If you had a parent who constantly belittled you, compared you to others, or told you that you would never amount to anything, you likely carry those messages with you today. So, that's something I know a lot of us have to work through. Childhood bullying can leave a mark on your confidence. when it comes to looks, intellectual, and athletic abilities and other areas of your life. Humiliating experiences in adulthood, including workplace harassment or a peer group that disrespects or demeans you, can also make you less willing to speak up for yourself or pursue ambitions and goals. Misinformation, a lack of self-confidence can come from not knowing the rules of the confidence game. For example, if we think we have to feel confident in order to act confidently, we set ourselves up for failure. Perfectionism is another form of faulty thinking that contributes to low self-confidence. If we believe we have to have something all figured out before we take action, those thoughts can keep us from doing the things we value. I guess we have to take a leap sometimes. Even learning and understanding what confidence is and isn't is a big step towards boosting it. Many media messages are designed to make us feel lacking. Companies that want to sell you products usually start by making you feel bad about yourself, introducing a problem that's not really a problem. And then they have the answer, and you buy it, and you spend money, and then they get to be this big, huge company that's just fed off of you like a leech. Social media, anxiety and depression can cause lack of self-confidence. Go see someone, a professional, about that. So, there we go. I got all that from Psychology Today, by the way. psychologytoday.com. Very, very helpful. You know, some of the stuff I talk about doesn't necessarily stick in my brain, and I have to go back and listen to the podcast. Because I'm not one of these guys that find out more in the notes, in the show notes. There's a link in the show notes down below. No, I'm not going to do that, because you're not going to do that. I put it in the podcast. If you miss something, rewind and listen. It takes you 5 seconds to rewind. You hit that little button that says 15 seconds, and it's got that circle rotating counterclockwise, actually. Because apparently rotating counterclockwise brings you back in time, and time is made out of particles. Look who's here. Outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcaster Valleymont. Hello, Michael Matthews, Madame Rootabega on set. It's very interesting. Ooh. Have you ever dated Brian Austin Green? Yes. Did you ever go back in time? Yes. No. Okay, look who else is here. Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant. And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that? Mike, how come she answered a question that you didn't even ask there? Yeah, way! Do you know that? Because I asked it in the future. Do you like eggs? See? And then she answered it earlier in the podcast. You'll have to hit that counterclockwise thing to hear it again. So, next show it'll be the wonderful Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the engineer. Tell me what you think about anything. Tell me what you really, really think about anything we covered in the podcast today. You can call me 336MM Daily. That's 3 + 3 = 6. MM as in Mike Matthews. Daily as in what this podcast will try to start being again. I got interrupted by a couple days off. Hope that helped the podcast sound a little better today. I have confidence that it did.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!